Imagine biting into an apple that has caught the flu, or a banana infected with the fatal E. coli bacteria. Not too appetizing. Well, think again. This could be the next big leap in protecting us against disease.
Today's vaccines are a modern success story. They've controlled some of the world's most lethal diseases. Vaccines eliminated smallpox, and we're on the verge of purging polio.
It's essential that we vaccinate people on a global basis. Otherwise, diseases can pop up in various parts of the world and spread.
In the developing world, old scourges like diarrhea still kill 3 million infants every year. The reason? Vaccines that could save their lives are still not widely available.
One of the big costs in vaccines today is the cost of the needle, but also the cost of refrigeration from the point of manufacture all the way to a remote village in Africa, for instance.
But all this could be about to change as scientists are searching for new ways to protect the next generation. Forget the needle, enter the humble banana.
I first began thinking about bananas as a means of delivering vaccines when I was in Bangkok, Thailand. And while there, saw a young mother with her child walk down to one of the floating markets, or sort of boat with bananas on it. And as she was sitting down, her infant started crying. And the mother peeled one of the bananas and just took a little bit of the ripe banana on her finger and put it in the kid's mouth. And I thought, boy, they know what to do with this. If we could only put a vaccine in that banana, we'd have an instant delivery system. Everyone knows what to do with it.
Unlikely as it may seem, fruits and vegetables turn out to be well designed to deliver medicine. Which is why at the Boyce Thompson Institute in Ithaca, New York, food scientists Dwayne Kirk and Charles Arnson see a day soon when we can eat, drink and be vaccinated.
We see the main advantage of using plants as a delivery system in that the plant cell itself forms the packaging system.
If we can find a way to produce vaccines in plants, dry down the material, like making a dried powder, banana chips or something of that nature, then we could deliver that without refrigeration any place in the world.
But can you get a piece of fruit or a vegetable to produce a vaccine? To answer this question, Charles Arnson turned to genetic engineering.
First of all, the idea had to be tested that, in fact, we could make a protein that was immunogenic. That means it acts as a vaccine when it's in the plant material. The next problem was, how do we put that gene into the fruit of a plant or something that's edible?
He used a bacterium called agrobacterium that easily penetrates plant cells.
What we do is we insert our gene into the agrobacterium, and then when it infects the plant cells, it transfers our gene along with its own DNA.
Having successfully inserted the vaccine gene into the heart of the plant cell, the next stage for the scientists is a spot of high-tech gardening. The first vaccine plant was the potato, because their genetics are well understood and they can be grown fast.
This is an assortment of young plants that we have several weeks after we've introduced the new gene to them. This is the type of container that we keep them in to keep them protected from any outside insects or diseases. The media itself is rich and covers everything that they can possibly require. We use sterile environments to maintain and further our young plants until they're healthy enough to go into the greenhouse. At this point we're trimming them and removing any excess so that they can go into fresh media to continue their growth cycle until they're large enough to survive in a pot.
It's one thing to grow the vaccine in a plant, quite another to deliver it undamaged into the human body.
The rigid wall of the plant cell will protect that vaccine through the stomach until it can be gradually degraded in the intestinal tract.
And once it moves from the intestine into the bloodstream, it should work like a normal vaccine jab.
It has the same effect as the actual virus itself. It just triggers a full-blown immune response so that the next time you would actually see the real virus, your immune system would be primed, you'd be ready to ward off the infection.
While it sounds good in theory, would it work in practice? Would it help to eradicate a worldwide killer like diarrhea? To find out, Arnson and his team fed human guinea pigs pieces of potato with the virus gene. They then waited to see if there was any response.
What I'm looking at here are specific white blood cells of a volunteer. We know that this vaccine that a patient has been taken by mouth has produced an immune response that we can pick up in the blood.
Buoyed up with their success with potatoes, the team now have more ambitious plans.
In the end, our real interest is to push towards bananas. And bananas, because they're grown in the developing world, they're eaten uncooked, and that's crucial. We don't want to destroy the vaccine. And lastly, they're given to kids, and we're very interested in immunization of children. From the day we put a gene into a banana cell until we get fruit back is about 3 years. And that's a long wait, and we're just now beginning to see the fruits of our labor.
Once the fruit here ripens, we'll harvest it. We can use it for feeding to animals to examine exactly how much of the flesh that you and I normally eat we require to give you a vaccine that you normally receive by injection.
If all goes well, edible vaccines could provide a new and valuable weapon in the fight against disease.
We believe that the plant-based vaccine technology could be used for a wide range of diseases, especially anything that enters across a mucosal surface. So in the lung, for instance, respiratory disease, in the gut, so enteric disease, sexually transmitted diseases, etc.
And we may not have to wait too long. The scientists here are hoping the first commercially available banana vaccine could be ripe and ready to eat in the next few years.
While we all know that eating the right food is important for our health, the consequences of diet may be much more significant than we imagined. A radical new theory suggests that our long-term health has been decided even before we take our first meal. It all depends on what our mothers were eating.
The 9 months we spend in the womb is the period when we're most dependent on our mothers. Protected and nourished, it's the time when our minds and bodies develop most. It might also be the time when the odds of us suffering from conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure and heart disease in later life are determined. Both of these newborn babies are healthy, but one of them may well develop a whole range of diseases in later life. Its body could already be programmed to do so by the food it received while still in the womb. This is the conclusion drawn by Professor David Barker of Southampton University in Britain. He's investigating the causes of one of the late 20th century's biggest killers, heart disease.
It is now the commonest cause of death.